Good morning. Last week I mentioned today we would have a Middle East report. Let's do it. How many of you have heard what's happening with Israel this week? For instance, how many of you have heard that a drone from Yemen came in and a suicide drone and hit Tel Aviv? How many of you have heard the response? Some of you have. How many haven't heard? A lot of you. Well, since that happened yesterday morning, I quickly put together a little presentation along with what I was going to present anyway. And so, all right. Back up. Day before was the suicide drone that hit Tel Aviv, killing one, hurting, I think it was 6 others. And it came in from Yemen. It's the drone that heretofore had not, the Houthis in Yemen had not been able to send anything that would reach Israel. But this one traveled over 10 hours over Egypt and then into the Mediterranean Sea, and at low altitude comes in to Tel Aviv. The Israelis saw it and tracked it for 6 hours and decided it was not a nuisance. But it turned out to be anyway. And this was the first time that Houthis have ever been able to do that. To have a drone that would travel 10 hours and go that distance. It's over 2,000 kilometers. So in response, yesterday morning about 6 o'clock, maybe a little bit before, because it was kind of dark, Israel did a response. And they traveled with 8 F-35s and 5 F-15s down the Red Sea. They had no help in the attack from the United States or Britain, who are in the area and sometimes attack the Houthis. But they did help in refueling the fighters, because this is a long flight. And as you can see on that one on the left-hand side is from Israel to Yemen. And so the flight they refueled by the Americans and by the Italians who were in the area. I'll show you a slide on one particular Italian 767 refueler, sometimes called Pegasus, sometimes called KC-46, whatever those names are. And the reason that Israel put out this slide right here yesterday was because they wanted Tehran in Iran to know it's further to go from Israel to the Houthis than it is to go from Israel to Tehran. Wanted to let them know that we have the capabilities of going a long distance. This is down near the port. It's on the western. Let me get my mouse. So I didn't bring up one. Let me get my mouse. And just show you. This is Yemen's border. Goes from here up around this way, and north of there is Saudi Arabia, and Yemen is all this area here. And the port is right there where that arrow is. Let me go to the next one. Here's what it looks at the port, and the very north upper part is where they really hit, where you can see a lot of oil storage tanks.
I want to bring you some breaking news that's coming through from Israeli media. They are reporting that Israeli forces have targeted Houthi positions inside Yemen. The port city of Hodeidah has been targeted. I'll show you, these are the latest pictures that are coming through of that attack. Now, of course, this attack comes a day after a drone strike on Tel Aviv. One person was killed when a long-range drone hit central Tel Aviv early on Friday. Later that day, the Houthis claimed responsibility for hitting a Singapore-flagged cargo ship in the Gulf of Aden. The group has been, of course, escalating its attacks since Israel's war on Gaza began. Now, the Israeli military say they are investigating that strike on Tel Aviv. One media report says the drone flew 2,000 kilometers from Yemen. Most Houthi drones fail to even reach Israel's southernmost city of Eilat, which is on the Red Sea.
That fire was a long way away from that camera. Let me just show you what it's the whole port, the entire port, all those storage tanks, an electrical provider, and some ammunition storage dumps were hit. And I looked at it this morning, and it was still burning. This was a huge. These are cars. As soon as the population saw this happen, these are cars trying to get to the service station to fill up their cars with gas before it runs out, because they hit the tanks. All right, I think that's all I had on that particular part of the show today.